circumstances. No. Now, the reason he eschews the site, Civil Practice Laws and Rules, Section 3211A78, is that he just got reprimanded by a Westchester judge for doing so. And here's what the Westchester judge said about him. A motion to dismiss for failure to state a cause of action should rarely, if ever, be entertained in the small claims court. That was Brian Hansberry at the White Plains City Court, who denied Sawrack's motion to dismiss Glendora versus Sally, Sawrack, and Cecilia in the White Plains Court. The cause of action there being that they cause unnecessary labor, irks of energy, expense, and hours of time, both to Glendora and to the White Plains City Court. And so Glendora is suing for damages. Now, back to the state court, County of Columbia. Overwork by hacks, CPLR 3211A7 and 8, has become such a platitude it recedes into meaningless. Pellucidly, Glendora's answer to Sawrack's answer is Sawrack does not state a claim upon which his claim of no claim can be granted. Generally, Glendora denies Sawrack's, generally denies, but with specific specificity, she ardently denies, quote, no claim upon which relief can be granted, unquote. Such a ruse is bad faith. Such a ruse is an insult to the plaintiff and to the court. Such a ruse is frivolous. Scrutinize Sawrack's signature. Note the skips. Nice signature. It's on his screen sheet. Look at this. Does this show mental skips? That's a signature? All right, scrutinize Sawrack's signature. The skips in writing belie the skips in his thinking, which belie the skips in his papers. Beta. Glendora does not believe Sawrack and sadly Stevens, Burke, and Burke are the attorneys in this case. She demands Carmody wait proof of authority to represent Bennett and Amato. Please execute. Also, Glendora wants the documents authorizing them to practice in Columbia County. Gamma. Glendora's answer to Sawrack's answer that Glendora has not stated a claim upon which relief can be granted, and she unambiguously has, is Sawrack has not stated a meritorious defense. Delta. Okay, where were we when the tape ran out? Glendora demands proof of the same, and failure to produce the same will haunt Sawrack to his end or to the case's end. Sawrack says that upon information and belief, the foregoing verified answer of defendants Diane Bennett and Alyssa Amato is true. Well, Glendora says that has no meaning. It is his burden to adduce, to make it certain, long before he writes it, upon information and belief. And Sawrack says the reason why the verification is not made by defendants Diane Bennett and Alyssa Amato is that they are not in the county where the attorney has his office. Here again is one of his skippy signatures. A. This is obtuse. B. This is absurd. It's ridiculously incongruous. Prima facie. Only the defendants can verify an answer. The lawyer can't verify it. They're stupid. Whether they are domiciled in Columbia County or not is adiaphorous. If defendants are not in the county where the attorney is, then why is Sarak sadly claiming they represent the defendants? This time, he remembered to get it notarized. Now, here's his cover letter. You have to scrutinize this. This is the liar for hire for Cablevision. Continually falling flat on their faces. And we've got to sue Charles Dolan for fiduciary irresponsibility in hiring these people and giving shareholders dividend money to these crooks. So we have one comment here. He writes, "Dear Sir or Madam," to the clerk, and he says, "We represent defendants Diane Bennett and Alyssa Amato, and Glendora demands document proof." Next to his signature, I said something is missing, and this is his blue back. And there's something wrong there. It says attorneys for the defendants, and Glendora says again, prove it. Now he's been asked 5 times to produce the proof that he is authorized to represent Bennett and Amato. This submission by Sarak is frivolous and a waste of scant judicial resources and a waste of Glendora time, labor, and dollars. Stated, Glendora now presents to the Hummel Court Sarak Sadly dismal record in Westchester Court with this admonishment to them. If they squander Glendora's time, earths, and dollars in this case, as they did in Westchester, Glendora will sue Sarak Sadly, Bennett, and Amato for damages as she did in Westchester. An action now awaiting the ruling of White Plains City Court on Glendora's motion for summary judgment in her favor. And this was dated on February the 28th, 2006, Anno Domini, the year of our Lord, the state of New York. And the number of hours on this thing was, what did I tell you? 23, 24? Here's the log. Yeah, it'll be 25. The 24th hour, I finished collating it, stapling it, and labeling it. And the 24th hour is to report it to you, and the 25th hour will be to serve it. That will be tomorrow. There is in truth and in amor patriae, love of one's country that is, and in amor New Yorki, love of New York, which was set to music, right? I love New York. The internet number, and see if I can get this right. It says here the internet number is 4273-3. That's wrong. I know it's wrong. It's 4274-4 and 4275-5. So, think what that's going to cost to mail. So we went through all of Sarak's record in the White Plains Court, where he fell flat on his face 10 times and ended up having to pay $5,020. Glendora won the case. They didn't pay the money to me, they put it in the court. So now we have to figure out how to get it out of the court. It's on appeal, and an appeal is is ridiculous. I have an appeal of Peter Lane's rotten decision in the Bryan City Court, Glendora versus Charles F. Dillon Cablevision. I filed that appeal in June of the year 2004. And here it almost June of the year 2006, and nothing's been done on it. Ridiculous. Okay, what's the case about Glendora versus Bennett and Amato? Is simply this. Bennett and Amato put a chat with Glendora from its own time slot from 10 p.m. down to 4 p.m. and reduced her audience by 4/5 and violated first come, first served. Glendora had the slot of Friday at 10 p.m. since 1993. And that was a violation, clear violation of public access right, first come, first served. It also violated no editorial control by a cable operator. That's the greatest way to exercise editorial control. You don't cut things out of the program, you just cut the audience by 4/5. It also violated that public access shall be administered on a non-discriminatory basis. They discriminate against me because I tell you that they have no right to increase the rates of cable TV when they don't give you anything in return for it. And I tell people they're lies and they're cheats, so they want to censor my chat with Glendora. But along with that, how did they do it? They did it by a lottery. In the state of New York, a lottery is illegal. And they are illegally doing this. And Spat is another illegal federal judge in Suffolk County who is letting them do this. And the Public Service Commission is really the Public Disservice Commission. They don't care anything about you, the public. All they care about is the money that Cablevision and the other cable operators across New York State give them. The golf games, the lunches, that's all they really care about. They don't care about you. And who's in charge of that? Flynn and 6 other culprits. I think that's it. I think we did it. Did I tell you about the man who wanted a pet who was easy to take care of and was small and he could take the pet with him wherever he wanted? And his friend says, why don't you get a centipede? The man says, okay. So he brings the centipede home in a little box, and around noontime he says to the centipede, you want to go to lunch? No answer. So the man comes back at 1 o'clock and he says to the centipede, hey centipede, let's go to lunch. I know a great place down on Main Street. No answer. He comes back at 2 o'clock and he says, centipede, I'm hungry, let's go eat. And the centipede said, I heard you the first time. I'm putting on my shoes. Isn't that a nice hymn that they sang in church? Do you think I know the words? Spirit of God, descend upon your heart. Wean it from earth, through all its pulses move. Stoop to your weakness, mighty as thou art, and make me love thee as I ought to love. Here's a hamburger. It's a vegetarian hamburger. Let me see if I can turn it over so you can see what it's really like. Okay, not bad. That's Morningstar, no, it's not Morningstar Farms. It's a fry pat made by Worthington Food. Unfortunately taken over by Kellogg's, but they haven't ruined the fry patch yet. They ruined practically everything else. No murder of animals, no slaughter, no terrorizing of animals, no brutality, no blood, no cholesterol. Health. The highest protein you get. You know, when you eat animals, you're getting your protein secondhand. Okay, this way you get your protein first, imprimatur. I have to show you this blue sky. I don't see any aerosol. Watch out, don't get the camera in the sun. This is all that's left of snowstorm number 20. Oh, and let me show you the temperature. Look at this. .42. Well, let me just go around and show you the snow aerosol. See that? See, that's the way life used to be before somebody started paying jets to exude poison. They're chemtrails. They're not condensation trails, they're chemtrails. See, it's pretty good. Even on the horizon, there's a little bit over there. But this is almost azure blue again. This is an event. Praise ye the Lord, the Almighty, the King of creation. O my soul, praise him, for he is thy health and salvation. All ye who hear, to his temple draw near. Join us in glad adoration. Good morning, folks. It's a new day. You see that sun over there? You see that blue sky? And it's a new week. And look, oh my goodness, how many legal papers came in? The in-mail of March the 3rd. Wait, there's a list of them here. We have to clean up Rifkin and Radkin and Savino. Look at the legal papers. McDermott did excellent coverage of George Bush stepped down, stopped the war in Iraq. These are the details that came in. Look at that. There's 14 of those. Then there's 10 legal papers plus the Omnibus 28. That would be 11. 11 legal papers this week. Look at them. That's the details, and down there is the legal papers. So the tray is, this tribulation, this is what you call tribulation. Now, the daily devotions is our daily bread. And look what it says. This is 1 Corinthians, 1st, 3rd. Here's a nice thing. God of all comfort. There's your pure thought for today, folks. Say it 500 times and don't think about anything evil. God of all comfort, who comforts us. And we have to clean up the Second Circuit and the First Circuit. And this is the prayer list: Calabrese, John Walker, McKechnie, and Chin, the whole Second Circuit. We have to pray for its healing. It's very, very sick, along with the First Circuit, Ackerman and Reynolds, Mid-Hudson Cablevision, and Andrews, and Susan Lee White, and Pat McFarland, and Robert Burns, the father of George McDermott's wife, and Nilda Ariel, a Methodist minister, and his wife, separated. Separated. That's disheartening. With all they know, both of them ministers, and they couldn't resolve their own difficulties by dropping everything and being immersed in God. And you are on my list too. I pray for you. Spirit of God, descend upon our hearts. Wean us from earth, through all its pulses move. Stoop to our weakness, mighty as thou art, and make us love thee as we ought to love. What's for lunch today? These are vegetarian hot dogs with collars of onion on them. They little collars of onion. And embellished with mustard and relish. These are how they come in the store in the frozen department. Again, it's Morningstar Farms. That was, well, it was Worthington Foods, and it was taken over by was it Bear Aspirin and Alka-Seltzer? Who owns that? Miles Laboratories. And then it was taken over by, and then Worthington Foods bought it back because Miles Laboratories ruined the products. Worthington Foods bought it back, and then now it's gone over to Kellogg, and they continue to ruin the products. But some of them are still edible. Again, collars of onions around vegetarian hot dogs, embellished with mustard and relish. Vegetarian food, no terrorizing animals, no blood, no cancer, no heart disease, no cholesterol, no agony, no brutality, no bullyism. This is delicious. This is rye crisp and peanut butter. It's really the Puerto Rican Fire Department, Jose and Jose. This is March 5th, dated 2006, Anno Domini, the village of court of Taconic. Look at the way they spell it. Why do I have to go to a court that I can't spell? County of Columbia, State of New York, United States of America, Internet. And it's the people of the state of New York, plaintiff versus Glendora defendant. In Glendora, pleads not guilty, together with a motion to dismiss and with request for written deposition. Jury trial demanded alpha. Under penalty of perjury, Glendora declares, or asseverates, or avers, that she is telling the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help her God. Now watch for this. Glendora is protected by the common law, pursuant to Uniform Commercial Code, Article 1, Section 203. Now listen, folks. By the common law, the plaintiff must produce a corpus delicti. Corpus delicti. An injured body. In this action, plaintiff is the people of the state of New York, and Glendora did not injure anybody. On 3 counts, Glendora did not injure anybody. So the plaintiff has no case against Glendora, therefore, wherefore, and ergo, case against Glendora must be dismissed. Beta. New York State trooper indicated vague disclosure when asked his name. An officer has to give his name when asked. He would not let Glendora videotape our encounter. And why are police always so ashamed to be videotaped? Police know they do things wrong, and they show that to you clearly by resisting being videotaped. It must be that videotapes do not lie, and it must go back to Rodney King. Glendora feels this was a violation of her civil rights. She has the right to make her own record, Title 42, United States Code, Section 1983. And police are state actors. You can't bring a Title 42, 1983 action against anybody but a state actor. What is a state actor? Anybody who works for a government. Glendora did audio tape the encounter, and it's audio tape 2274A. The law in New York State, folks, is that any conversation can be taped as long as one person knows it's being taped. I knew it was being taped. After a few sketchy and shadowy representations, Trooper gave his last name, Andrews. Andrews. At first, he stalled when asked his name and said, "Why is that relevant?" "Because it will be on the summons." Well, Glendora was already guilty of something without benefit of defense. To his statement, "It will be on the summons," Glendora responded, "Yes, but you never can read them." Trooper Andrews drove to endanger. He followed Glendora in the left lane, and she was in the right lane, and he pulled alongside of her. Do you get the picture, folks? He slowed down, and he's running parallel to Lincoln, and he's going about 5 miles an hour on the Taconic, endangering myself and endangering any other cars coming down the Taconic, where the speed limit is 55. And this was confusing and distracting and dangerous. So Glendora slowed down with him. Then he pulled back, and both lanes were obstructed by his maneuvers. Then he went behind Glendora, and then he put on the lights. Next, he beckoned Glendora to pull over on shoulders of questionable safety. Glendora's 1993 Lincoln is a luxury car and rides on air. No struts, no shocks. It demands luxury surfaces. Its rich Michelin tires also demand luxury surfaces. In 2002, it got onto a grassy shoulder, straw type, just like what's on the Taconic. And it instantly got stuck, and it had to be winched, and this injures the delicate air ride, and a new compressor and accessories cost $1,100. With directional on and going very slowly, Glendora scrutinized the taconic shoulder until a safe pullover was described. Later she explained this to Trooper Andrews and apologized. He said, okay, we don't want you to get stuck. But the maneuver in its entirety was not in the interest of safety. Glendora did not have to talk to Trooper Andrews. She had a right to remain silent and to have counsel. But she rolled down the windows on this bright, sunny morning, March the 1st, 11:10 a.m., and cheerfully said, "Good morning! How are you?" On March the 1st, Ash Wednesday, first day of Lent. And he said, "Oh, is that what it is to the rest of the world? To me, it's Monday." That was kind of funny, and it made Glendora laugh. And he continued with, "May I see your license and your registration?" She asked him what his statutory authority to prohibit her from videotaping, and he said it was New York State Parkways and Recreation Law, SIC. SIC. He mentioned 182-29 when Glendora asked for the article in the section. He took 10 minutes to 12 minutes to make out all the tickets, and Glendora was unhappy about missing her 11:30 a.m. appointment in Stanfordville to sign up a new successor trustee, 2, on the trust account. And all the time that he was gone, Glendora read her morning devotion, Psalm 31, 19 to 24, which is about security. And she sang a hymn, and she said a prayer for Trooper Andrews. In a much better mood, Andrews came back with 3 tickets. Glendora asked him to give her an interview for TV, and he declined. Glendora's been waiting for the Department of Motor Vehicles to send her the registration renewal, and it has never done so. Andrews asked if Box 124 Ghent is current, and it is, but the DMV apparently, which insists on a home address, and now that the home address is no good, and they wouldn't take the post office address, so they must have sent something to the old address, and the post office there didn't know what to do with it, so sent it back to the DMV, and now the DMV has no other address. So maybe that's why Glendora never got the letter from the DMV to renew the registration. And without a registration, a car can't be inspected. Glendora's driving record is pristine. See the immaculate record. But these problems are over. Glendora is through being a victim of New York State avarice. She wearies of the racket, the dollars, the hours, the urge of energy, and one required for inspections and registrations and licenses and insurance. It's all a racket. The insurance lobby paid off the legislators in New York. To push through this insurance thing. And then in addition to that, folks, every day of your life you go out and you pay all these taxes. I keep track of the taxes I pay. I just want the state of New York to know that we know what's going on. keep track of all these taxes, and we have for years, and we can show them hundreds of pages like this. Gasoline prices soar, and the state does nothing to protect, nor do the feds. And they are in on the money, folks, aren't they? At $2.45 a gallon. This is going to be a good supper. White potatoes and sweet potatoes and green beans and gravy and vegetarian Swiss steak. Glendora wins a judgment by default in White Plains City Court, and the state sneaks in and extorts $6 for a transfer of judgment. I got the judgment from the White Plains City Court. The state hops in, get a piece, and charges $6 for me to get a transfer of judgment, which is a novelty. It doesn't mean a thing. And then I go to the county court clerk to file it, and that's $15. And then the sheriff sends me an execution, and he wants $35 to serve the execution on the Cecilia. And then he wants another $35 if Cecilia doesn't pay, and he has to go up there and order the company to take it out of her wages. And every time that you buy something, folks, it's 8%. And you're almost tithing to the state of New York. There it is, a sheet that I showed you. Now also, did you believe this? Remember I told you how we kept, Frank and I kept records from 1937 through 2005. Would you believe this? State withholding, $28,110, and it's more than clothing. Here's clothing at $26,423. Is it any wonder that we are fed up with these people? Is it any wonder at all that we cannot afford to support them in the custom or in the style to which they are accustomed? So what is Glendora saying? She will take the car off the road. She will keep it home in her driveway. She will cease being a victim of these inquisitors and of highway trickery. Driving is a bold undertaking now in which hazards are to be met and the issues hang on unforeseen events. We are being swindled, folks. You and I are being swindled. One sees one car an hour practically on this section of the Taconic. The troopers are desperate to meet the quotas imposed upon them by the controllers, self-surrendered to vice, with open and shameless disregard of decency, utter laxity of morals, and with no restraint. She will never travel the Taconic again and be enslaved by the trap again. We are bullied. The police state encroaches and the republic recedes. Bye, republic. Great big Smokey Bear hats bully little old 77-year-old ladies. Glendora, daily, since the first day of Lent, has prayed for Trooper Andrews that he find the real meaning of his existence and affranchise himself to his real worth and significance. This is no way to spend a life. Abuse of state powers. There's too much government, and it costs too much. It used to be Amor New York High, love of New York. The tickets, by the way, say Lou. It says L-U. I gotta show you this. Funny. I'm trying to do a ticket or a copy of one. I sent them in today and I figured not guilty. sunshine tomorrow after the tempest has passed. Wait. Here it is right there, Lou. You see it? Lou? So I said, it's a Lulu. Actually, it's a Lulu. Because there's three of them. Trooper Andrews has good penmanship. You actually can read his writing. It's not bad for a man. And the friend at Glendora was meeting at 11:30 a.m. March the 1st had been a victim a week earlier of this state highway nitpicking in the same spot. No front license plate. We are pawns out to be pilfered for our money. When Glendora asked Trooper Andrews if he would do an interview, he said that has to go through channels. And Glendora said, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I'm on 52 channels. Glendora gave him her card so he could see her TV report on him. So Glendora chooses a simpler, more peaceful life of no harassment and praying for the inquisitors to earn an honest living, something to be proud to leave to their progeny. As I say, dated March 7, 2006, Anno Domini, State of New York, yours in truth and in amor patriae, which is love of one's country, but no more amor New York I. Glendora. A chat with Glendora on 52 TV stations, 520 municipalities, including Washington, D.C. and Albany, New York. www.chatwithglendora.com. And this is my platform. Lead people to be perfect. Stop cruelty to animals. Stop injustice in the courts. And sue judges when they break the law. And why does it have to happen in a town I can't spell? Opus 1362, 7¼ hours, $8.85 to print and post, and the internet number is 4275-5. I hope I got that right. Glendora wants to appear in court in personam. She has to find a ride. Can she videotape and audio tape the proceeding? And guess who went to court with it? None other than Bob Hope. Maybe the judge, when he was a little boy, watched the SS Glendora on Channel 6 WRGB, General Electric. Okie dokie. I should tell him when I go to court, I should tell him that. Joke, the judge says, why did you park there? And the defendant says, because there was a sign. It said fine for parking. The poor, tired man had been married 25 years, and he was watching his wife slaving away at the hot stove. And he wanted to buy her a bouquet. And he said to her, honey, what's your favorite flower? And she said, Pillsbury. George, you've been up to that buffet 8 times. Now, aren't you ashamed of yourself? Oh, no, honey, I keep telling him it's for you. The priest said to the young lady, when are you thinking of getting married? And she said, constantly. Peters brags that he runs things in his house, and his wife says, that's right. He runs the washing machine, the vacuum cleaner, and the lawnmower. And you girls looking for a husband, you should consider an archaeologist. Because the older you get, the more interested in you he gets. You heard about the couple who got married so late in life that Medicare picked up 80% of the honeymoon. Young man rushed into the city clerk's office and says, "How much does it cost to get married?" The clerk says, $25 and one paycheck every week for the rest of your life. Bill says he now knows why English is called the mother tongue. Father never gets a chance to use it. And Joan and Harry got some lovely wedding presents. Some of them said his, some of them said her, and one of them said us. An army blanket. Daddy, does the wife boss the house? Daddy says, "No, honey." The boss houses the wife. The man called the maternity ward. He said, "This is Peter Clark. My wife is having a baby. I'm going to come right over." And the nurse says, calm down, calm down. "Is this your wife's first baby?" He says, "No, this is Peter Clark." Glendora, cheerful look at life. 2 minutes of goodwill and good cheer and good humor. What can I do to cheer you up about your oneness with God? It just is the answer to everything. Everything you're looking for is in that package that God put under the Christmas tree. And here it is, 2 months and a couple of weeks since Christmas, and you haven't picked up the package. You're still looking around frantically, but you don't know where the Christmas tree is. You want to go and find the Christmas tree. Well, I'll tell you where it is. It's a secret. The Christmas tree, under which there is a great big box of everything that you want. Everything that you want. Where is that Christmas tree? It's every morning. You sit down alone with God and listen. Now the Glendora Happy Book helps you do that. I don't know how many are left. So just call and get a Glendora Happy Book. And here's Bruce's kitty cats. They're brother and sister, Harry and Harriet. And they do everything together. They sleep together, they go to the litter pen together, they eat together, and have ever since they were kittens. So, that's it. And during the day, you rejoice every 15 minutes. It's 2 minutes to 5. I'm going to rejoice about you. You are very responsive. You call me up, you tell me all kinds of things. And I enjoy helping you, and you always help me. And guess what? We got our first request for a Glendora Happy Book from Texas. So, just let it be known that there's somebody who loves you and respects you and admires you and applauds you and appreciates you. Because I know how great you can be. I know how great God made you to be. And I know you can reach that. You spend your alone time with God every morning. What is that song that's so pretty? I hope I can sing it to you. I sing like a prisoner, you know. Behind bars and looking for the key. Spirit of God, descend upon our hearts. Wean us from earth, through all its pulses move. Stoop to our weakness, mighty as thou art, and make us love thee as we ought to love. It's fun, it's fun, it's fun. All this litigation is so much fun. Okay, this started at 2:45 a.m. and now it's about 5 a.m. And it is printed. 28 sets for the United States District Court, Idaho. And it's against Julian, Bodine, Reynolds, Rifkin, Savino, Callaghan, Sarak, Masterilli, Oyala, Savarino, Sadly, Stevens, Burke and Burke, Cablevision's Liar for Hire. Did you hear about the two cannibals were eating a clown? And one cannibal said to the other, "Does this food taste funny?" Here's the prayer list. Breathe on us, breath of God. Fill us with life anew. Folks, we are getting there. They're printed. They're collated. They're stepped on. They're walked on. They're stapled. They're labeled. Everybody's name is on them. And they are folded and stuffed. Next job is to seal. What did the doctor say to the Japanese man? The doctor said to the Japanese man, "You have a cataract." And the Japanese man says, "I do not. I have a Lincoln Continental." Here's some beautiful pure thoughts from the devotions this morning, the alone time with God. An inheritance, incorruptible. Isn't that great? That's what you have, you know. Abundant mercy. Undefiled. I want that for you. And does not fade away. Salvation by the power of God. These are all for you. In this greatly rejoice. Gentleness. Where did this come from? 1 Peter. 1 Peter 1, I think. What's that one? Genuineness. Yeah, I want that for you. And much more than gold. Much more precious than gold. These are all things that are much more precious than gold. Praise, honor, and glory will be yours, folks. Spend your time alone with God and rejoice every 15 minutes. Full of glory. Aren't they wonderful? Now let me show you the list I'm praying for. I send these pulses to all the people on this list. And I have a new thing. You see that jar over there? You see money in it? There's money in that jar. Okay? Every time I have a bad thought, negative, second level, trivial, or ugly, I make myself pay for it. And I put a coin in the jar. And then I'll take it to church. And I'll give it to the church. See if that'll stop me from having negative, second level, trivial, and ugly thoughts. The next step is to sit on them after you seal them. My mother taught me that. That makes sure that they are sealed, and it makes sure that they are flat. And over here are the free copies for who to sue, in case we have to sue these people. And I hope not. I hope they don't break the laws. Legal papers should be sideways instead of up and down, so they'll fit the TV screen. A United States District Court, District of Idaho, Glendora plaintiff versus Stephen G. Toman, Town Justice, Phillipstown, Putnam County. Deborah Ecott, defendant in that case. Christine Savarino, a vicious violator of public access rights, and her underling, Cecilia Mastrovilli. Christine came to Cablevision with no experience at all, and they made her a supervisor. So what is the cause of action against all of these people? Violations of Glendora's public access rights. Ernest C. Torres, Chief Judge, Federal Court, Providence. David A. DiMarzio, clerk. McCabe, a clerk. Flanders, a clerk. Intake clerk, who lost the $250 filing fee. Thomas McAvoy, who violated the public access rights of William Houston and also Glendora. Sandra Sotomayor, that should be Mayor, M-A-Y-O-R. Regina Raji and C.J. Hall, who said it was all right what McAvoy did in violating public access rights. William Savino and Rifkin Radler, who violated public access rights in Bernas versus Cablevision in the federal court in Suffolk County, the Eastern District of New York. William Flynn and all of his abettors on the Public Disservice Commission, who violate public access rights, who go where the money is, who goes to the cable operators and abandon us public access producers. Diane Bennett, Alyssa Amato, who dropped a chat with Glendora from 10 p.m. Fridays at Glendora had had since 1993, over 12 years, and put it down to 4 p.m. and cut her audience by 4/5. All the Jane Does, John Does, and their betters who rob us of our blue sky, together with Stephen L. Johnson and the Environmental Protection Agency. That's the aerosol in the skies that's exuded by jet planes, poison. State of New York, its Supreme Court, its Appellate Division, First Department, its Court of Appeals in care of Judith Kaye, the Chief Judge of the State of New York. Lawrence Goldman and all of his abettors, at the New York State Commission on Judicial Conduct. You have a constitutional right in the state of New York, by the New York Constitution, to be protected from bad judges. It's their job to do so. They do not do it. Chief Judge Bodine for the First Circuit in Boston. Lisi and Allman, a federal judge and a magistrate in Providence Federal Court. James Reynolds, Mid-Hudson Cablevision. Rob Johnson, Lori Pulver, Stuart Smith, and Mid-Hudson Media for violation of public access rights and for being fugitives and for being in default and for being in contempt of the court. Christine Savarino again and Jennifer Oyala, violators of public access rights. They cut a chat with Glendora with no authority from 2 hours to a half an hour in Cross River. .com loves judicial papers. She loves legal papers. She sleeps on them just the way judges do. This is 05, civil case 9885 before Edward J. Lodge, federal judge. Glendora refutes, opposes, resists, and stands up for what is right. Against Julian, a lawyer, for Toman, the judge. Defendant Bodine, Chief Judge, First Circuit, Boston. Reynolds, defendants, and defendants Rifkin and Radkin and Savino, and defendants Callaghy through Oyala. A. Let us first deal with Julian. He asked Glendora not to tell lead defendant Toman what is going on in the Idaho court. Why? Why does he want vague disclosure? Why does he favor sketchy and shadowy representation? Glendora asked Julian, what is your statutory authority? Julian says that lead defendant asked Julian to ask Glendora not to send lead defendant copies of the court papers. Well, Glendora requests to see the same in writing. Toman is a justice, not a judge. He is a town justice. That's the first paper. Now we go to Bodine. Bodine lies again. Glendora never appealed the case. Glendora versus the David Rockefeller Bank. Bodine has been told this at least 4 times, but he continues the lie. Bodine calls Glendora a he, and Glendora is a she. Now it was Bodine who called Glendora an incarcerated litigant. Glendora's not, and never has been incarcerated. Bodine cannot get anything right. Lastly, Bodine is in default. Rule 55, Federal Rules of Civil Procedure. Up next are the Reynolds defendants. On March the 3rd, 2006, Glendora received 2 more boomerangs from the Reynolds fugitives. Reynolds defendants have contempt for this court. Reynolds defendants are in default abhorrently. When is this court going to answer Glendora's 4 pleas before it as to instant judgment by default on the repetitive refuse by the Reynolds defendants? Now come Savino and Rifkin, Radler. They are in default and have been since December 26th. They have been in default as of 3 months ago. Their paper of February 21st is untimely and cannot be considered. Everything they said in their paper, in their pound packet, should have been said December the 26th. And you should see it, folks. Rifkin, Radler, and Savino, a law firm in Long Island, who misrepresented public access and was a liar for hire for Cablevision, hired a lawyer in Boise, Idaho, to represent them. Now, what does this tell you about the evil in the courts? That the personal factor is more important than the factual factor. And the law. What's more important in a court is, if you don't know the law, for heaven's sakes, get somebody who knows the judge. So there, Rifkin and Radler and Savino are willing to pay a Boise, Idaho lawyer to smooth things over for them in front of the judge. They should have known all this and abstained. Clearly, they are trying to pull a cheat on the court. This is abuse of the court system. It is bad faith. Further, it is sanctionable pursuant to Federal Rules of Civil Procedure, Rule 11. A fortiori, the paper must be stricken, as if never written. Now we go to Calighi, through Oyala, Cablevision. Everything said about the defendants Savino and Rifkin applies to defendants herein. Further, these defendants, Rifkin, Savino, Calighi through Oyala, had 2 weeks from January the 23rd to answer the motion for default judgment, and they missed that by 6 weeks. Ergo, they are in double default. Glendora asked this court to attend to default judgment as strictly as the White Plains City Court did with Calighi, Cecilia, Saw Rock, and this court in Idaho, the federal court, should scrutinize default judgment and handle it as justly as did the White Plains court, and paying $5,000 for default judgment that Glendora was awarded. And guess what, folks? They finally had to pay it. Calighi, Satterley, Sawrock, and Cecilia finally had to come up with the $5,000 and pay it. They tried every way they could to get out of it, to dodge the bill. They tried 1 order to show cause, 2 orders to show cause, this and this and this and this, and they finally, and an appeal. And then they finally had to appeal it so they could get a stay. And but that did cost them $5,020. They had to pay it into court. Glendora served these pages upon all defendants and upon Julian Grissom, the U.S. Attorney, and Spitzer, the New York State Attorney General, and Gardy, at their designated addresses, and the date of service is March the 8th, 2006, Anno Domini. And under penalty of perjury, Glendora asseverates that she has told the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help her God. Defendants have not. March the 8th, 2006, State of New York. And without prejudice, Uniform Commercial Code, Article 1, 207. Opus 1,361, 7 hours, $27.45, and the internet number is 4276-6 and 4277-7. Glendora, chat with Glendora on 52 TV stations, 520 municipalities, including Washington, D.C. and Albany, New York. And www.achatwithglendora.com. And the platform is, lead people to be perfect, stop the cruelty to animals, stop the injustice in the courts, and sue judges when they break the law. That's a hefty paper. Actually, it's 5 legal papers. Affixed to the memorandum is Julian's letter asking Glendora to hide the truth from his client, Justice Toman. Not a very orderly mind, is it? Things aren't in order upstairs there, are they? They're kind of a mess, aren't they? Here's a judgment from the crazy First Circuit. First Circus in Boston, dismissing an appeal that was never filed. Crazy people. And here is a return by the Reynolds defendants. And here's another boomerang by the Reynolds defendants. And even when they are told that they're in default and that Glendora wants instant summary judgment by default, even when they're told they're in contempt of the court, they continue this stupid act of refusing legal papers. Never refuse a legal paper. Folks, I wanted to meditate with you on these words that tell you so much about all the power, all the money, all the attainment, all the joy, all the beauty, and get you closer to that. Adverse and averse in a contrary direction as adverse winds. These things don't bother you anymore when you spend your long time with God. Advise, to recommend a course of action, to counsel, to warn. I do all of this with you, to spend your alone time with God every morning. I give very good advice. Nobody ever comes back for more. Advocate. That's one who pleads the cause of another. I'm your advocate. I'm always pleading your cause before God. What's that word? I don't know. As before a tribunal or a judicial court, a counselor. Adynamic. You're adynamic, folks. What's that mean? You've lost your dynamics. If you don't go before God and with God, your greatest friend, every morning, alone, the first thing, then you're going to be adynamic. In the Greek, that means without dynamics. Allotropic, showing different properties as for velocity of transmission of light. Not isotropic. You see, every one of us seems to have a different velocity for the transmission of light through us. Are you transmitting light to others? You would if you'd spend your alone time with God every morning. Esculapian. That's pertaining to doctors, to the medical ripoff, to the medical racket. Aesthete, one who makes much or overmuch of the sense of the beautiful. Well, what's beautiful is those morning stars Who is it? Jupiter, Saturn, and the evening stars. Venus, Mars, who are they? Affable, easy to speak to, courteous, amiable, in response to another's address. Do you know anybody like that? Well, you did. You knew Franklin Buell. He was all of those things. Sociable, mild, gracious, complacent, benign, civil. This case I just told you about is a civil case, but I don't see that as anything benign. Complacent, gracious, mild, sociable, amiable in response to another's address, courteous, easy to speak to. It's none of those things. Now here's a good word, affecting. It means moving. This camera's moving too much. Fitting, to excite the emotions. Touching, moving, pathetic. Influence upon the sensibilities. Stirs emotions. Affecting. This word is affecting. Here it is down here again. Affecting. Touching. Touching has a transitory connotation. Moving has a deeper. Agitation, which tends to action or expression. And pathetic is empathy. Sadness, pity. Affiance. Affiance also has this meaning: trust, reliance, and faith. Now, isn't that something that happens when you spend your alone time with God the first thing every morning? Here she is, inside your blue jeans. Folks, what do you call fake spaghetti? What do you call fake spaghetti? The great imposter. Did you hear about the couple who got married so late in life, Medicare picked up 80% of the honeymoon? What did the eye doctor say to the Japanese man? What did the eye doctor say to the Japanese man? You have a cataract. And the Japanese man says, I do not. I have a Rincon Continental. Folks, will you please pray for the United States Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit? They are very, very, very sick, and please pray that they be healed. Here are a couple of their bad actors. This is George Bush's cousin. But here's his wacky clerk, okay, who had the dates all wrong. You know, she had the wrong date going with the wrong day, and the wrong day going with the wrong date. Okay, and she writes back, this arrogance, thank you for correcting my error. Your petition was due on February 20th, 2006, and February 20th, 3rd, 2006. You are correct. Your papers were untimely filed. The package was delivered on February 22nd, 2006 at 10:58 a.m. in between the two dates that she had wrong. See that? 23rd, and 22nd. I am authorized to use the corrected date. See the enclosed. Now that's a big cheat and a big lie. Okay? I am returning what appears to be your petition for review. It is not in proper form. Although Rule 6E is not specific as to a page limitation, everything works against you. See, this is a deliberate exclusion. The long-standing practice of the court, and every practice of this court, long-standing, has been evil, is to use the authority of Rule 2B as a guideline and establish the definition of brief as applied to, this is all made up, okay? This is all conclusory. This has no scientific basis, no basis in law, no basis in fact. So she sent it back because it was 22 pages long. You remember I read it to you 2 weeks ago? And the petition for review should be no longer than 5 pages. Is this lazy or isn't it? Okay? Is this trying to get out of the work? Is this trying to betray the United States? So the 5-page, 5 sides petition for a review letter must be received by close of business on Thursday, March 9th, 2006. That's tomorrow. If the petition letter is, see this? Now look, here's another one. See, this is deliberate and premeditated cheating. Letter is not in proper form and untimely, it will be rejected and the files cleared, closed. See that? See what they're trying to do? They'll lose it anyway. They won't take the truth that I sent them down. So here's 4 people who are going to be sued: Calabresi, McKechnie, Chin, and Walker, George Bush's cousin. So Glendora writes a letter to Calabresi, the acting chief judge. What happened to Walker? Why is Calabresi acting? That's the original one. Going back, and I cut it down to 5 pages, and here's how I did it. That's first page. It was a 22-page complaint, so I'm cutting it down to 5 pages. And here's the 5th page. And so I dropped everything, and I said, it is not Glendora's fault that the Second Circuit is loaded with bad judges. They complain about how many judicial misconduct complaints I made. Well, it's not my fault. If there weren't so many bad judges, I wouldn't have to make the complaints. So Glendora says the other 17 pages have been censored by an inexperienced clerk. And we have to be, and we'll have to be seen on TV and on the internet. So we cut it down to 5 pages. All the rest. So I write to Calabresi, who's over in New Haven someplace instead of in Manhattan, and I said that this clerk, who cannot read a calendar, is violating Glendora's civil rights. She is impersonating a judge, and this is actionable. I will sue her for impersonating a judge. McKechnie is an abettor and an accessory. Glendora has caught the Second Circuit in over 130 cheats. These imposter rules are not in the Constitution. They are not made by Congress. These are the laws, and this clerk is in violation of the same. This clerk has no statutory authority, no constitutional authority to do any of this. She is impersonating a judge. She is a per diem hack who is dizzied by self-aggrandizement. These clerks are in and out of these offices like revolving doors. This is Glendora to the Second Circuit, Calabresi. Here, the Second Circuit is three years addressing a judicial misconduct and disability complaint about John Walker Jr., George Bush's cousin, and has the audacity to say that Glendora's petition for review is untimely when it is answered in a week after she reviewed it, and there's a dispute about these days that the clerk had written down. Nobody knew whether she meant Monday or nobody knew whether she went Wednesday. Is this not a stretch, folks? How does this make you look? It makes you look anti-judicial, anti-American, lethargic, afraid to do a little work, and interested only in yourselves and not in your country. Then this arrogant can't get the date straight. Well, the first 5 pages go back to her, but the other 22 pages are on TV. Glendora's on 520 municipalities. And the other 22 pages are on the internet. 8,000 people visited www.achatwithglendora.com in February. So if this charade of clerks are too lazy and too traitors to do a little work, the whole world knows. Page 3. What did Clerk do with Glendora's other 4 copies? She did not return them, folks. I sent her 5 copies. No, original 4. Did you get one? Addressing Calabrese. Res ipsa loquitur. Your record speaks for itself. Who are the judges complained about, by the way? They're very careful not to reveal the names. Well, one is John Walker, Jr., George Bush's cousin. It is a fraud. It is premeditated injustice, premeditated exclusion. Glendora has been praying to God for 2 weeks to heal the Second Circuit of its illness. If you prohibit Glendora's 2 letters from going to Calabrese, then there will be included in the lawsuit a claim of mail fraud. Reserve, dated March 8, 2006, Anno Domini, State of New York. Yours in truth and in Alma Patriae, Glendora. A chat with Glendora on 52 TV stations and 520 municipalities, including Washington, D.C. and Albany. www.achatwithglendora.com. Lead people to be perfect, stop cruelty of animals, stop injustice in the courts, and sue judges. Without prejudice, Uniform Commercial Code, Article 1207, Glendora, Opus 1263. Wait just a second. Oh, that's a typo. That's 1,363. This took 2 hours and $14 for overnight mail again, and it cost $21.51 to print and post. So, folks, will you please pray for the Second Circuit, Calabrese, Walker, McKechnie, and this clerk Chin, that their deficiencies may be corrected, and that a smile will be put in their hearts because they'll be living right, and that they will have the poise that judges should have instead of this sleazy slithering, and that they will live with inner strength, and that they will deal with the wrong that they've done, that they will deal with their past and atone for it, that they will deal with their past because of the future they could have. Please pray for them. The Second Circuit, Guido Calabrese, John Walker Jr., George Bush's cousin, Roseanne McKechnie, and this Chin Allen. And that they will make America safe for puppy dogs. The man had been married 25 years and he wanted to give his wife a bouquet of flowers. And as she is slaving over the hot stove, he says to her, "Honey, what's your favorite flower?" And she said, "Pillsbury." The wife says, "George, you've been up to that buffet 8 times. Aren't you ashamed?" And he says, "Oh, no, honey. I keep telling him it's for you." The priest asked the girl, "When are you thinking of getting married?" And the girl said, "Constantly. We'll make America safe for puppy dogs. And we'll make America safe from kittens who do this to puppy dogs." Poor puppy. Albert says he runs things in his house, and his wife says that's right. He runs the vacuum, the lawnmower, and the washing machine. You girls looking for a husband should consider an archaeologist. The older you get, the more interested he gets in you. Did you hear about the couple that was married so late in life that Medicare picked up 80% of the honeymoon? A young man rushed into the city clerk and says, "How much does it cost to get married?" And she said, $25 for the license and 1 paycheck every month, or every week, the rest of your life. Archer says he knows why they call English the mother tongue. Father never gets a chance to use it. And Bill and Gladys got beautiful presents for their wedding. A lot of the presents said his and hers, and one of them said us, an army blanket. "Daddy, does the husband boss the house?" "No, honey. The husband houses the boss." Peter Johnson called the hospital and he says, "I'm Peter Johnson. My wife is having a baby. I'll be right over." And the nurse says, calm down. "Is this your wife's first baby?" And he says, "No, this is Peter Johnson." This is Glendora, a cheerful look at life. 2 minutes of goodwill, good cheer, and good humor. Brought to you by I just fed him a whole loaf of bread. It didn't take long. There's quite an audience. You all watching Cat with Glendora? Folks, I fasted until 2:30. Yesterday I fasted until 5:30, and the day before I fasted until 6 o'clock. And this is what I put in my lunch, vegetarian hot dogs. By Morningstar Farms. They are not as good as Leanie's, which are by Worthington Foods, but you have to get those in a health food store or in the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Let's give them the rest of my lunch. They like vegetarian hot dogs. Here, I'll show you. Here's 5 and 6. Let's see if I can hold the camera in this hand and pull them out with that hand. Now we give them a hot dog roll. You like hot dog rolls? Now let's give him peanut butter and rye crisp. This is my lunch that I packed. This is peanut butter and rye crisp. Let's see, how do we do this? Old camera. The last thing I have is popcorn. You think they'll like popcorn? There's the popcorn out for them. And they do like it. Go ahead. Let us see you eat it. You like popcorn? You got cute feet. And you have cute faces. And that's it, folks. Oh no. I've got some Nature Valley cereal bags. Okay, stay right there. Here you go. peanut butter cereal bars. Okay, that's my whole lunch. Oh, look at this. Look at the new hood emblem. Oh, isn't that a nice hood emblem? Oh, and I don't have anything to give him. Isn't that cute? He's sitting on the hood. What a cute face. He has such a cute face. And I don't have anything to give him. Everything's gone. Car must have come and scared them. Well, goodbye, lunch. Goodbye, seagulls. Jesus Christ. Ride, folks. Pat McFarland likes to go for rides. I chat with him in Buffalo. This is the bread that I buy the birds. 10 loaves. Each loaf is 59 cents. And it lasts them a couple of weeks. The birds and the raccoons and the opossums. And the squirrels. They all love it. There's some more that cost more. Those cost $1. Stewart's. And this cost 59 cents. And that's from Save-A-Lot. This little kitty wants to come in. Want to come in, little kitty? Little kitty, want to come in? Want to come in, little kitty? Ooh, yes, we want to come in. One night when it was cold, she came in her plume tail. It was about 6 inches wide. This is the new baby blueberry bush that Daniel bought for me.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is that it right there?
That right there, yeah. It's amazing how they come back to life.
Mm-hmm.
You think they're goners, but this is the organics, and I think it's good compost, don't you?
Yeah, yeah.
Alrighty.
We used to mix it up with something and mix it up. You can buy manure. You can buy a combination of manure and topsoil combined in a package they have.
Does it smell?
A little bit, but we put that on my mother's zinnias last year, didn't we, Steve? Yeah. That and she uses Miracle Grow, and they were beautiful.
They were?
They were up like this. I mean, they were high.
Oh! Was that here?
Mm-hmm.
Or down in Clinton Corners?
Out here. Is that going on?
Isn't he doing well? You're so nice to help me with this.
And why is there pink on there?
I
Well,
told you, it's to protect the white wall. They leave it on there so when they're moving tires around and whatnot.
Oh.
And that's what they should have washed off for her when they...
Oh, so you can just take a look.
I want people to know I got a new tire.
Probably need a,
So,
you probably need a brush.
Well, good for you. Good for you, Jack. Boy, that poor Jack worked hard today, holding up that 4,000 pounds.
yeah, all day long. She could have gotten that all in before.
Is it a nice tire? It's a Michelin.
Yeah.
Here, look at that. What's that?
These covers really work. See how it's kept the car so maroon and clean all winter long? In case I missed it, let me show you this garage door opener that came with this 1980 Lincoln. It has the Lincoln insignia on it. Did I show you this garage door opener?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's amazing.
it is amazing. There it is.
Yep.
In its splendor, the $55 Michelin. But that's a good price for a Michelin.
Yeah, it is.
That's from Walmart. Yes, it's a girl tire. It has pink.
Now, if you take that out.
They put it on the wheel, wrong side out. They put the sidewall inside. You can't get a 3/4 inch sidewall anymore in Michelin. He said. So there's Bobby. Bobby Teddy Bear. And that's Nancy. And that's Pee-wee. And here's the groceries and the errands. 50 VHS. $50. And it's always fun to bring order out of chaos. And weren't they the nicest neighbors to come over and change that tire? What they actually did was, I bought the new Michelin tire at Walmart, $55, and Walmart left the sidewall, the white wall, on the inside instead of the outside, and that black tire looked awful. So what they did was turn it around for me, and then I took it back to Walmart, and they put it on right. But Walmart has the best deal, I think, on oil, lube, and filter and tires. An oil, lube, and filter at Walmart costs $16. That looks pretty good, doesn't it? Strawberries in March. And Janice's mother is 92 years old. And she's up and around out there in the yard every day in the summertime, gardening and making things look nice. Why, that's remarkable. And guess what? Last week she had a gallbladder operation. Like nothing. She went to the doctor Tuesday and he says everything's fine. And Stephen was a banker. Her husband, Janice's husband, Stephen, was a banker. So those are the nicest neighbors, aren't they? All of our neighbors are nice. So it'll be fun bringing order out of chaos and putting away all the groceries. And they help me unload. And then I'll put all the expenses into the book. And the errands will be done. Let's sing a song. Spirit of God, descend upon our hearts. Wean us from earth, through all its pulses move. Stoop to our weakness, mighty as thou art, and make us love thee as we ought to love. All the people that I hear about with grief, and I'm asked to pray for them, and I do, I just can't help but think that what has to be done is that you have to say, I did wrong sometime, I did wrong somewhere, I did wrong someplace. I regret it, I'm sorry, I admit it, I acknowledge it. I wished I hadn't done it. I was wrong. And now I want to atone for it. If hardship comes your way, maybe you are atoning for something. Maybe you are coming clean. And I won't do it again. Guess what? Oh, I think I already told you this. Maybe it was on the last edition. Some TV stations get all the editions of the Chat with Glendora. Last time, 2 weeks ago, there were 16 editions. This time there's 8 already. But you see all the money in this jar? Every time I have a bad thought, a second thought, a negative thought, a second level thought, a trivial, ugly thought, I put a coin in there. And then when I go to church Sunday, I'll give it to the church. That really cleans up my thinking fast. I don't like to give away money. Well, that's not true. Franklin and I made $30,000 in donations receipted, and I don't know how many in donations unreceipted. Okay, I was wondering, folks, if you would listen to my die instructions and see if I left anything out, and see if I need any corrections. From the errands, and those have to be entered into the book. And here's the die instructions. Up here people call me Vesta. Do you have any comments, additions, improvements, questions? Want to go to the hospital. Glendora does not want to go to a nursing home. Glendora wants to die at home. Now, before you let anybody in to the happy house, call Bonnie Sutherland, 518-758-9941, to take care of .com cat. The cat carrier is in the garage, and Bonnie will lovingly become .com's new person and take .com to her new home. Don't let anybody in until .com is safely in Bonnie's care. Of course, they have to get the body out. Next, call Sean Moody is his name, and Shannon Lashley, and tell them that Glendora has died. They will send a local funeral director to pick up this great body. I tell you, this is a great body. It's never had a doctor in its 77 years. Later, Sean and Shannon will take the body to Westchester Medical Center in Valhalla. In fact, the Westchester Medical Center pays Moody to come and get the body. I think it's important because medical students sometimes have to adjourn their studies because they don't have a cadaver to work on. I remember I called Columbia University to see what their arrangements were, and the man was very arrogant, and he was kind of abrasive and adamant, and I ended up telling him no over my dead body. Now, you may have to call the police, and they will call the coroner Or maybe you can call the coroner without calling the police. Now, after .com cat has gone safely to Bonnie Sutherland's home, everything in the happy house can go to the museum, excepting what is in the kitchen and what is in the bathroom. Glendora has left a space in the museum left wall as you face the front for this desk, for both of these desks. And you place the 6 file cabinets contiguously in the space with the 2 deck boards on top of them. And on top of the desk boards, you place the computer, the desk lamps, the television, the telephone, the desk tray, 9 VCRs, the monitor, and the coffee machine, and you cover them with a blanket. What do you think of this, folks? This is Glendora's die instructions. You might think that this is macabre, but let me tell you, when a person dies, your loved ones grieve, and they're in no mood to make plans. And then there's going to be questions as to what to do with things, but you have it in writing, there's no question. This is what she wants. Let's all go ahead and do it. That's the way it was with my mother. She put everything in writing. Place all the rugs on the museum floor and keep them covered. Ooh, wahoo. Keep what covered? This is put together backwards. You will be given a key to the museum, and the clothes should be laundered and placed in the clothes boxes, columns 27, 28, and 29, midway on the left, facing the front. And the bed and the bedding, after being laundered, go at the front end, behind the red furry chair and the green rocker. Now, both Lincolns go to the museum and park perpendicular to the museum and with the front out. The museum is a 43-foot storage trailer. And please exercise the Lincolns once a week and do not register them nor inspect them nor pay auto insurance. All of these are rackets. It costs about $1,000 a year by the time you get through paying New York State. Now here's a pretty good schematic of the museum. That's the door. There's about 200 boxes there. And there's an index to these boxes, and I have revised that index and scrutinized it about 6 times. I think I'm just about ready to finish the one right now we're into. Keep them covered. Keep what covered? Oh, the Lincolns. We need shading parking places for them in the summer. Oh, glove compartment. In a 1993 Lincoln, there's a glove compartment in the driver's door, there's a glove compartment in the passenger's door, then there's a glove compartment in the dashboard. Now call Brad Richard Sachs as successor trustee 1 for the Glendora Franklin Living Trust for the preservation of the Glendora Franklin Pro Se Public Access Newspaper Museum. Bruce Leonard Bergman is successor trustee too. Please call him and call our banker where the trust fund is. And Glendora's brother is Gordon Howard Folsom, and his son is Stephen, and Stephen's wife is Terry, and Terry loves .com cat, and will take care of .com if anything should happen that Bonnie Sutherland needs a successor. Terry will take care of the two big plants, the mother plant and